When you spend 2 decades wearing a motorcycle club patch, serving in leadership, and half a century raised in the life, among some of the largest organizations on record, there are several life lessons to be learned. This is one of those lessons. In this podcast series, I've talked a lot about the lessons I've learned and the situations that I have been a party to over the course of the 20 years I wore a patch, mostly serving in leadership roles. I don't mean to imply that some of those lessons didn't come without a cost to me personally. It seems that in every large club there's always this one guy who for whatever reason just doesn't get it. In my experience, it's always been a guy who's very likable, intelligent, but deeply insecure. I have twice been fooled by such characters. In both cases, these worms work behind the scenes against me, while on the surface appear to be a tremendous ally. Both times they secretly worked with a segment of leadership against me for personal gain. Neither of them had ever earned an ounce of respect on their own. What I have never understood is how some segments of leadership will work with guys that are clearly a rat, and who are willing to make up lies and work against another segment of leadership, such as myself, and how they could ever hold an ounce of respect for those piece of shit worms. I mean, to me it's clear, those worms' integrity is for sale, if nothing more for the implication that they are somehow bettering their position with the other segments of leadership by working as a backstabbing rat. I mean, isn't it clear that those are the first guys that would sell you out in a heartbeat if they were ever snatched up and placed in a small room with a single light bulb and badges on the other side of the table? Not only that, how could they continue to have a relationship with those piece of shit worms after they know what they're made of? Both times it ended up costing the club tremendous losses and absolutely no gains. In both cases, those segments of leadership tried to take from me, but it ended up costing them 10 times the loss over the value of what they would have gained. Because in both situations, I intentionally destroyed everything that I had built for them. You see, I was made from birth the type of loyalty that would do anything for my club and take nothing in return. But when you try to cross me, I will do things most men don't even think of, and I will burn everything I created for you to the motherfucking ground. And truth be told, if you want to know the saddest part about all this, it is that I actually recruited the first guy into our club. And the second guy I had taken under my wing when he moved down south from way up north. The second one, who I refer to as Computer Cunt, was more of a party boy than he was an actual biker, but I thought he seemed intelligent. That was an example of where I was wrong. You see, when I say take him under my wing, it means I introduced him to people at levels he would never in a million years get to on his own. I helped promote him through the ranks. I tried to teach him the experiences that I had been taught by leaders way above me over the course of my patched education. Hell, I even cleared a path for him to meet his old lady and start a life with her. I was making my best effort by him because I was trying to build him up to replace me in my leadership position. But unbeknownst to me, I had no idea that he was an extremely jealous person, and it seemed the more I tried to teach him, the more he resented me for it. It is a very difficult job to be a leader in a motorcycle club amongst friends. A big part is psychological warfare. Some guys will never understand that. For example, I had mentioned in a previous episode that we had a pretty good beef going with a very large club for several years. And it wasn't their entire club at all. In fact, their national leadership were very good friends to me and to some of our leadership, as were some of their members. But there was a specific segment that had become my nemesis. Oh, they would never admit it out loud because their leadership wasn't down with it, but I knew it existed. Hell, they're the ones who put the $10,000 bounty on my patch. You know the one. Didn't exist, but existed. So one night, to push the edge, I sent 11 patched brothers to a bike night at a local bar, knowing that this particular bar was that particular club's primary hangout. This happened to be in the chapter territory of the Computer Cunt's clubhouse, and I had promoted him to chapter president during that time. He's actually the one who brought me the idea, and he was all about it. Moreover, so he could show off to a lot of out-of-town brothers that were visiting. This was with the approval and inclusion of our national leadership, and I maintained constant communication with our number one, and included his wisdom and participation in the plan. So I sent in 2 out-of-town younger fellas as citizens ahead into the bar so they could keep me informed in real time as to what was going on inside the bar, and I handpicked the 11 guys to go as a pack. This included my state warlord, the computer cunt, the 2 younger guys inside, but I specifically chose older guys who had been in the club for a long time to be the main body of the visiting crew. So when our pack arrived at the parking lot, it immediately got the attention of the Nemesis Club as well as their supporters, which totaled about 20 guys outside and about 10 guys inside from the reports I was getting. And it quickly became a face-to-face confrontation in the parking lot. The majority of our 11 guys were spread out about 6 feet apart and were facing the Nemesis Club and one of their loudest talking support leaders. We had one guy primarily speak, who was one of the longest wearing patched members, with almost 50 years in our club up front. It was a tense conversation and standoff for maybe 5 minutes or so before the local law enforcement decided to come stormtrooping in. That pretty much broke the conversation, and our guys mounted up and left because it wasn't going to be fun anymore. So after our guys got back, the computer cunt gave me a call so we could debrief. And boy, his macho attitude had certainly been deflated. He sounded more terrified than confident. He said, "Man, that was almost a huge mistake. Boss, you sent the wrong guys." I said, "Oh really? How's that?" He said, "Well, they had us way outnumbered with younger guys, and those younger guys could have cleaned up the parking lot with the older brothers you sent." I said, "Really? But you told me that our guy up front laid it right on him, hard and to the point, when he spoke to him." He said, "Yes, he did, and that really pissed them off." I said, "Right, and what did their guys do?" He said, "Nothing. They were staring at our crew, who were staring back at them, but they could have," and I cut him off. And I said, "Let me teach you something. I chose those guys to go specifically because of that exact potential situation. You see, had we have showed up with 11 or 12 young guys who looked ready to fist fight, they likely would have attacked. But when they looked across that parking lot and they saw a bunch of long, gray-haired, long-bearded, scarred, and leather-faced bikers who looked like they'd been through it, I guarantee you it crossed their mind that these guys weren't going to fist fight. They would turn it into a photo shoot. That is what gave us our advantage, and why we were able to make our point without losing any blood." But what the hell do I know? I'm just Tabasco the biker. Keep it real.
In the club life, you get one shot to prove